In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 super important things that you might be doing wrong in your gameplay. And the good news is all 10 of these things are super easy to fix. A lot of these things you probably don't even realize that you've been doing wrong, but I'm here to help you out. If you've been liking the content and want to support me while getting good at Fortnite at the same exact time, do me a favor and grind the creative maps down below. Each of them is made with the purpose of getting you better at Fortnite and to have fun. But with that being said, let's hop into this video. The first thing is a really quick and easy one, which most of you are actually probably doing right. But just in case you're not, let me tell you, when you're rotating, obviously you want to be super aware of all sides of you. The way you can do this super easily is move in the direction you want to be going and then slide and jump. And when you land again, slide, jump, slide, jump. By doing this, you can literally look in all directions without ever losing your momentum forward. The only reason I bring this up is because I was watching a few really good players and they weren't doing this and I couldn't believe it. So I was like, if these good players aren't doing it, then maybe some other people in the community aren't either. But yeah, when you're looking behind you, make sure you're sliding forward at the same time so you don't lose your momentum. The second thing is a bit more complex and it's very situational. In duos, when you get weak, sometimes you shouldn't actually heal. And that sounds crazy. Obviously, if you go down, the fight is more than likely over because you're leaving your teammate to a 1v2. So yes, you want to protect yourself and healing is a good way to protect yourself. But here's the situation. Imagine you get weak in duos and you go to heal. A lot of times the team that got you weak is going to turn and double your teammate. In this situation, you need to be communicating very clearly. You should be saying, hey, I think you're about to get doubled. If they say, yeah, I'm getting doubled, then you should get over and actually try to provide some cover fire. Do it safely though. You don't want to expose yourself because if you're weak, obviously they can turn and just insta kill you. But simply by just giving the tiniest bit of backup to your teammate can actually help you guys survive rather than forcing heals. Because if you spend time getting heals, your teammate's getting doubled and he dies, just like that, the fight is more than likely over. So just keep that in mind in the back of your head. If you get weak, sometimes the best play isn't healing. You need to be communicating and help him out if he's getting doubled. Tip number 3 is when you're claiming high ground, don't forget the goal. The goal is to claim high ground. Not to kill the player on high ground, it's to get the high ground because high ground's gonna win you the game. Killing the player that was on high ground is, obviously gonna help you out, but not nearly as much as getting the high ground. And you might be saying, yeah, Jivan, obviously, but let's say you're building up to high ground, you get the enemy coned and you get him full pieced. Are you gonna edit and shoot him or are you gonna build over top of him and claim that high ground? If the answer is edit and shoot him, it's not always a bad decision, but a lot of times, they might hit you back, trade damage. All of a sudden you're weak on high ground, a third party builds up and now your high ground take is ruined. That's why a lot of times now when I'm going for high ground, I'm not actually looking to fight the player on high ground. I'm just looking to build over top of them and then maybe spray back down. Just keep that in mind. Sometimes it's good to kill them, especially if you have them one shot and you have them boxed, obviously you kill them, but it's a good note to keep in the back of your head. Tip number 4, we're going to build right off of that last one. When you're going for high ground, one of the most important things is just simply look to cone the enemy. If you just keep on building up, cranking 90s, going up and up and up, it's gonna lead to your disaster. But sometimes one good cone placement over the enemy is all it takes to get you that high ground. Once you get them coned, crank 290s and spray down. I'm telling you, it can be as easy as that. Tips number 5 and 6 are to help you get more refreshes. So number 5, it's important to pay attention ahead of you while rotating. The reason is if somebody ahead of you gets cracked on your rotate, or you manage to shoot them while rotating and you crack them, that is going to be the best refresh opportunity you can find. A lot of not very good players look for refreshes on back edge of zone. Maybe they rotate ahead and then they spray to the back edge. But realistically, those players that you kill on low ground on the back edge are usually going to have no mats and you're going to have to tank storm to get it. But if you frag ahead of you on your rotate, you'll not only be fighting somebody weak, but also fighting somebody that's in a good position in the zone, which gives you more time to finish that fight. And a lot of times those players are going to be the ones that have bigger refreshes. If you look for the shambles players on back edge of zone, that's going to be a very baby refresh. But if you frag on somebody that was actually rotating and playing endgame confidently, that means they're probably pretty set on mats. Tip number 6, the other thing for refreshes is you cannot be too passive. If you're not proactively looking for refreshes all throughout the endgame, you're most likely not going to win. Even if you still have like 700 materials and you see somebody get cracked ahead of you on the rotate like we just talked about, it's not a bad idea to just jump on in. Obviously make sure there's not another player jumping in, because if you jump in with 2 players at once, that's a third party, and it's going to be harder to finish that fight and not take damage. But yeah, long story short, be confident, be aggressive, otherwise you're not going to win those games in the solo victory cups. But something I should add on to that is, let's say you're in the second to last moving zone and you still have 700 mats. You technically don't need a refresh. You could probably play those mats out all the way to the very end of the game, and if you have enough heal off, that's probably the best play. If you were to continue fragging, it might help your chances a little bit, but it's unnecessary risk. Winning games in the Solo Victory Cup is all about risk management. If a risk isn't needed to be taken, then don't take it. But if it's still early in the moving zones, then yeah, going for refreshes is going to help you out. If I get somebody weak, I'm just full-blown jumping in. No hesitation. Tip number 7 is a lot of players, when they're going for a wall take, they only go for the wall. If you're a newer player, it's kind of hard to do this, but if you're trying to take somebody's wall and they don't have a cone in their box, it's super important to either claim both the cone and the wall at the same time, or a ramp in a wall. The way you do this is when you're taking the wall, you first place a ramp and then switch to your wall basically immediately. By doing that, you can claim not just the wall, but also the cone in their box, and then boom, the fight can be over just like that. Now, tip number 8 is about the mid game, your mid game awareness. This is easier said than done, but you should never be the one getting snuck up on. When I'm in the mid game, I spend more time being aware of my surroundings than anything. The whole time I'm rotating, I'm jumping and looking for players. A lot of times I rotate up to elevation, that way I can scout all my surroundings. I always need to be the one that sees the players around me before they see me. This gives you every advantage in the mid game, because first of all, if you're planning on fighting, by seeing the enemy first, you can sneak up on them and get a health advantage, obviously. But also, if you're just trying to play for endgame in a solo victory cup, by seeing the enemy before they see you, or before you get too close to them, all you have to do is basically run the opposite direction, create more distance. This is once again, like I just talked about, risk management. In a solo victory cup finals, that's what it's all about. If you have what you need for endgame, fighting is literally pointless. Going for a sneak attack on someone is also pointless if you have everything you need to win. So by being aware, if you see players that are kind of getting closer to you, you can just create distance by going the opposite way. Obviously, sometimes there's just going to be a psycho like Peterbot that runs up and full on W keys you, but at the end of the day, being more aware in the mid game can give you that opportunity to disengage before they actually fight you. Tip number 9 kind of builds off that one. Over prioritizing W keying is really not necessary. It's kind of crazy, and a lot of people don't understand this, but W keying literally does not matter for any tournament except for duo cash cups. In a duo cash cup, you need to rack up a lot of kills if you're going to place top 50. But in FNCS currently with the format, you do not need to W key at all to qualify all the way to round 4. I'm not even kidding. Even in the opens, you don't need to have a big W key game to qualify. It's like, what, top 2,000 to qual to round 2? All you gotta do is play consistency and you can get top 100. In a solo victory cup, you definitely do not need to W key to qualify to the finals. You don't even need to take a single fight. You could get 0 kills across all your games and still qualify. And then of course in the solo victory cup finals, all you gotta do is win, so you don't need to W key. The reason I say this isn't to say that you shouldn't practice fighting. You obviously need to be good at fighting to counter W keyers in case you get fought in the mid game. But if you're throwing away your solo victory cups or FNCS by W keying too much and you just fall behind on the leaderboard because you can't get a good W key game, just know you don't need to W key to qual. Duo Cash Cup is the only one where in your first game you should be looking to W key. The final thing in this video is you really don't need to overvalue mechanics. People look at pros and see them doing all kinds of crazy edit courses, build moves that take crazy practice, but the truth is you really don't need to be able to do a lot of that stuff. All you need to do well in competitive is have very consistent basic mechanics. Never choking your simple right-hand peek edits, being able to tarp confidently to the point where, you don't even need to think about the tarp you're creating. By being confident in these basic mechanics, it allows you to not even think about what you're building, but rather focus on the enemies around you. That's the biggest thing. You should be confident enough in your basic mechanics to never have to think about it. The only reason I bring this up is because a lot of people have been asking me to start making more advanced mechanic tutorials. The truth is, my beginner tutorials are really all you need. If you can get confident with the basic retakes in the game, you don't need to learn any crazy retakes. It's just not necessary. So if you choke your edits a lot, focus on getting those fundamentals down. Once you have those down, yeah, you can start learning more advanced stuff for fun, but it's really not going to be the craziest benefit to you. All that I really recommend is practicing in like Forever Zone Wars or 1v1 1v1 maps and getting to the point where you never really choke builds or edits. And you always hit your shots, that's so important. But yeah guys, that's it for this video. I hope it helps you out. Once again, if you want to support me like crazy and get better at Fortnite at the same time, check out the creative maps down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.